let's discuss the other important aspect relating to issue of shares, that is calls in arrears and calls in advance. As the word is there, calls in arrear. What it means? It is the amount called by the company on allotment or on calls, but not paid by the shareholders. Now, sometimes what happens that the shareholder is not in position to make the payment of allotment money or call money completely, or a part of this is not been able to pay at the time when it becomes due, but may make the payment later on some other time or on some other date. So calls in arrear means that amount which is outstanding of the company to be recoverable from the shareholder. So it may be the amount of allotment or it may be the amount of call, but the word we will use, that is the calls in arrears. So calls in arrears is that amount which is demanded by the company and not being paid by the shareholder at the time when it becomes due. Now question arises that what the accounting treatment is to be done in case of calls in arrears. In your books at page 7.32, you have been given the details that how the calls in arrear will be dealt in account. Now there are two methods to deal with calls in arrears. First, it is called the first method, when no separate account is maintained for calls in arrears. In such a case, whatever the actual amount is received from the shareholder, that is to be credited to the call account, and the call account will show a debit balance equal to the unpaid amount of the call. Here one example is given. Suppose X Limited made a first call of ₹2 per share on its 10,000 shares. One shareholder holding 500 shares did not pay the first call, but when the company made final call of ₹3 per share, he paid all his arrears. Arrears here means the amount which is in balance, which is outstanding, which is recoverable by the company. So when calls in arrear account is not obtained, see here the journal entries are given. On making first call due, when the first call becomes due, there are 10,000 shares and first call due money is ₹2 per share. The entry will be share first call account debit to share capital account with ₹20,000. Now when this call is received by the company, here it is mentioned that a shareholder holding 500 shares did not pay the first call. So how much amount is become arrear of calls in arrears? That is on 500 share at the rate of ₹2 per share, ₹1,000. So net amount received by the company in the bank at the time of first call will be 19,000. So the entry will be here, bank account debit to share first call account with ₹19,000. See here, at the first call stage, we are not maintaining any calls in arrears account. The entry is recorded with the net amount. Now comes to the final call. The rate of final call is ₹3 per share. When final call becomes due, entry will be share final call account debit to share capital with ₹30,000. That is on 10,000 shares at the rate of ₹3 per share. Now at this stage, the shareholder had paid his arrear of first call of ₹1,000. So here in the bank, the amount received will be 31,000, 30,000 of the final call and 1,000 of the, very important thing, arrear of the first call. So entry will be bank account debit with 31,000. Now out of this 31,000, 30,000 is of the final call. So we will credit to share final call account with 30,000, and 1,000 is of what? 1,000 is of the first call. We write here to share first call account with ₹1,000. So the entry will be bank account debit to share final call 30,000 to share first call 1,000. Now there is the second option also, when the calls in arrears account is received. Now what the difference lies here, that in the bank entry we will write what the actual amount is received, that is bank account debit with 19,000. Calls in arrears account will also be debited with 1,000 and share first call account will be credited with 20,000. See the difference between the first method and second method. When the calls in arrear account is not maintained, the bank will be debited with the net amount 19,000, but calls in arrears account is not debited. But when the calls in arrear account is maintained, then calls in arrear account will be debited with rupees 1,000 at the time of first call. Now, when the final call becomes due, that will remain the same in both the methods. That is 30,000, 30,000. In the bank here also, the bank will be debited with 31,000 because 1,000 of the calls in arrears of the first call been also received. The entry will be here. Bank account debit with 31,000 to share final call account with rupees 30,000 to calls in arrears account with rupees 1,000. Now see here, in the second entry, calls in arrear account is debited with 1,000. In this last entry, fourth entry, calls in arrear account is credited with rupees 1,000. So automatically, calls in arrear account will be settled with that. In the second entry, it is debited. In the last entry, it is credited. So automatically, calls in arrear account will be nullified with the same amount. So this way, you have to maintain calls in arrears account when the calls in arrear account is maintained and when calls in arrear account is not maintained. Dear students, understand that which method you should apply in the examination. In case if it is mentioned that calls in arrear account is not maintained, first method. If it is mentioned that calls in arrear account is maintained, then the second method. But if nothing is mentioned, it is your discretion that whichever method you may apply, but you must mention over there that assuming that calls in arrear account is not maintained or assuming that calls in arrear account is maintained. So it is important to write the assumption. Accordingly, when the assumption being written, you will record the entries and you will justify your answer as per the statement which is given. I will continue in my next video relating to the calls in advance.